Thank you.
Well, the new year is going to bring a lot down in Washington. Republican and Democratic congressional leaders will be meeting with senior White House officials on a lot later this week. You know, they're trying to hammer out a deal to avert a potential government showdown, while immigration certainly will be on the agenda as well. As you know, the president is demanding funding for the border wall in exchange for a deal to protect the so-called dreamers. Those young folks brought here illegally as children. It's the so-called wall for DACA deal. So what can we expect? North Carolina Republican Congressman Robert Pittenger joins us. He's a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman, I mean, you got a lot on the plate. You got a July 19th deadline for the spending bill and March 5th on DACA. What do you expect how this will play out?
Yes, sir. Well, to the credit of the House, we passed 12 appropriation bills, all 12 appropriation bills dealing with funding for our federal government. This hadn't been done in over a decade. These continuing resolutions are no way to govern. Pelosi and Schumer, they like it because it helps continue wasteful spending, and we need to have an accountable government. So we passed in the House. Schumer should not allow this to be prevented in the Senate. We need to see that bill passed in the Senate. It has what we passed, frankly, in the continuing resolution that was temporary, was funding for our military that is so important, $665 billion. $4 billion of that goes for protecting ourselves on missile defense systems. Another $700 million went to repair our ships. We have a very depleted military as a result of Mr. Obama and his administration, and we need to rebuild it.
Are you confident, and you're a member of the committee, that we are rebuilding our military? We have so many threats. You have North Korea. We see what's happening in Iran. Do you think, like President Reagan under this president, that the military will be completely restored?
Yes, sir. Thank God for the leadership of President Trump. We are seeing the same kind of leadership, and we must have it. We have unprecedented threats from nation states as well as terrorists, and they must be addressed. We see the provocation from North Korea. We see that from Iran. We're so grateful the president stood strong for those who are going to the streets in Iran seeking freedom. I speak every summer at a major rally in Paris for those who are seeking freedom and regime change. And I stand with Madam Rajavi and others who are seeking for freedom for that country. Most of that country are individuals who are 30 years and younger, about 2/3 of them. And so it's important that America have the capabilities militarily to defend ourselves against the threats that come from Iran, the country that has provided the greatest amount of assistance for terrorist groups throughout the world.
I mean, they're right now. Look, Iran is the number one. It's always been the number one state-sponsored nation for terrorism. Yes, you know, for years now. And of course, we had the Iranian deal. And you mentioned Maryam Rajavi. I've interviewed her in Paris. We've reported from that Paris group. And you've got kind of a splintered opposition between her and Prince Pahlavi, the son of the Shah. They are both speaking out in the very same terms, trying to bring freedom and democracy to the Iranian people against the theocratic regime. What more do you think, and would you like to see President Trump do when it comes to this?
Yes, sir. I think we should continue to speak out as President Reagan did. We had, of course, at that time, Radio Free Europe, that we sent our messages inside the country. We need to be utilizing every type of capacity to communicate with individuals there, to encourage them. Frankly, at that rally in Paris, it was televised through laptops all over the country. We need to stand strong. The United States provides moral clarity for those seeking freedom throughout the world, and that's so important. They need to hear from us. They want to hear from us. Frankly, when Saeed was the pastor was in Iran, and I spoke at the rally in Paris, he told me that all of a sudden Pastor Abedini's entire perspective of how they treated him changed. It makes a difference when America speaks out, and they will begin to see that these young people who are going to the streets, they'll be strengthened, they'll be encouraged, and frankly, you'll see some, I believe, evidence and breakdown of their military. The mullahs will not be able to control everyone in that country. I think if America continues to stand strong and speaks in their behalf, we can see a real regime change in that country.
Congressman Robert Pittenger, thank you for those thoughts, and we'll see as these street demonstrations develop if they indeed continue and if it leads to any type of change in Tehran. Congressman, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Eric. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, too.